All right, here's George. I'm very glad you won that fight, Matt, but I'm not impressed by your performance, and I look forward to fight you in the near future.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and it's time for a shoot, baby. We're going to turn this work into a shoot. We're going to talk about all the stupid variant covers associated with the Eternals launch. Probably talk about the comic book a little bit. And here with me to talk about that is the heel himself. Heel Yule is back on the channel. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine, except for when I'm going to have to place the order for all these variant covers that are coming down the pike. That gets me angry.
You're going to go Hulk on us. I like that. So if before we get started, if you enjoy the content, if you're coming to the channel but you haven't subscribed, now is the time to subscribe to Thinking Critical YouTube. Hit the bell for notifications. If you enjoy this conversation, you want more content like this, give us a thumbs up and let us know in the comments section. If you think we're a couple of rubes and we're totally off base, and Larry, I'm talking to you because I know you love variant covers, give us a thumbs down and let us know why in the comments section as well. Also, Yule does have his own YouTube channel called Fantastic Comics. There's a link in the video description, and you'll have a chance at the end of the video to subscribe to his channel. Now, Yule, I understand on a lot of these big launches or these milestones or these historical, like significant comic books, you get a lot of variant covers. There's a lot of money to be made in these. Eternals #1, although I think the creative team, and I'm more enthusiastic about Kieran Gillen and Assad Ribic being on this than even Perch was when we talked about it earlier. That's a good creative team, but it doesn't feel like it warrants. What are we at, 40 variant covers and counting now?
Probably, and if you include like what some stores probably going to get the opportunity to print one also, or two, or maybe some artist will have it on their website. There's probably going to be like, upwards of 45 covers, I would assume.
Maybe 60.
Yeah, 60. Why not, man? It's the Eternals. I mean, this is the greatest comic that's ever going to be, and it deserves it for sure.
Well, I imagine that it's happening because we do have the MCU movie coming out, and they did put a pretty decent creative team on it. It's not Jonathan Hickman coming back to Marvel good, but I really did enjoy Kieran Gillen's run on Darth Vader. Not much else that he's done with Marvel, specifically his work on Mr. Sinister, where he destroyed the character. Hopefully he doesn't do that here, but we're basically at 40 variants and counting. We have a lot of big names on here. One that stands out is Jack Kirby. Obviously, I believe the creator of the Eternals, and they're repurposing some promo art that he used for this. Do you like them posthumously using Jack Kirby's art for something like this?
No, I don't. It's pretty ghoulish. I mean, I understand you're trying to say it's an homage to the creator that put this book out, and it's something that hasn't been used as a cover before. So, you can rationalize it all you want, but this is how many this is like, Jack Kirby being a Disney legend, it just feels like that. And it's probably going to be like 1 in 500 or 1 in 1,000 a store will have to buy. So Larry will be able to get it, but my small ass store won't.
You're not up in the orders for the variant covers?
Not in whatever I'm going to need to get that Joe Quesada blank variant cover. Whatever the hell it's going to be. A blank variant doesn't make sense. Black and white, virgin, whatever.
Marvel
whatever the hell
variant.
It's going to be.
Yeah.
They do that. They have 1 in 500, 1 in 100, 1 in 250, 200 and I don't know if that's for this right now. I'm only looking at letters, but when I finally get into the nuts and bolts of having to order these, not every single one of these covers is actually going to be available to me unless I order a certain amount of all the others. So when those 37 probably, or the initial 37 probably 33 were available for anybody to order. That's including like maybe the blank variant, stupid stuff like that. The thing that ties in with like some other cover for some other comic book, or some celebration of another character that has nothing to do with the comic you're reading, and then all the other artists that are working on this thing, and you got 37 covers. Woo! And hopefully,
yeah, there's gonna be like a Ten of Swords variant, a
exactly
Black variant to promote that shit too.
Yeah, I mean, there was like a month when, there was a month where like Black Cat was on like every cover, and it's like for Fantastic Four, and it was a Ramos one, so. Of course you need to have it.
That's what they get it. It's like this is try and take advantage of the same people over and over and hope they just don't decide to say, screw it, I'm done with all this. And the list is pretty impressive. They have a who's who of a lot of your variant cover artists, your J. Scott Campbell, your Alex Ross. We got a Frank Cho in here, obviously.
Oh yeah, there's some really good
Peach
artists.
Momoko. Yeah,
Dave Johnson, Jeff Johnson. I was telling you how I haven't really seen a lot of Jeff Johnson in a long time, so that might be cool. Walt Simonson. So there's plenty of really cool names, and if you're a store and let's just say you can't afford to get 200 issues. So let's say you can't afford as a store to have 200 copies of this comic that's not returnable and that you don't know because of COVID and people not going to theaters and how hot that movie is going to actually drive people to the store where they're not really coming in that often anyway. If you can't afford to get 200 of them and you just get one of each cover, and let's say all of them are available to you, that'd be like near 40 comic books right there of one issue. And if you have a customer that wants to buy all of them, hopefully you can get them all. But I mean, that's a for sure sale. So, it doesn't sound like it's that big a deal, but it is. It's hard to order that way for smaller stores, and it makes...
Especially on a title like Eternals, this isn't fucking Batman. This isn't X-Men. Yeah. This isn't Spider-Man. This isn't one of those characters that just draws interest on name alone. This is Eternals. It's obscure. Now, it is associated with a comic book legend. I'll give you that one. But do you think that by issue 5, Eternals is going to be shipping over 25,000 issues a comic?
Well, this creative team can make that happen for sure. I mean, in a comic book store, this could be a good selling comic book. Great artist. I would hope that anything Ribic does is, I guess in numbers these days, at least 40 or 50,000. At least. Huh?
Spider-Man's at like 55.
Yeah, if he could. I mean, so 50 should be attainable for anything that Gillen and Ribic is on. That should happen, right? I mean, it's got a movie.
Amazing Spider-Man is struggling to be over 60. That is the most popular character.
It is, but the creative team doesn't bring any juice.
Patrick Gleason?
I like almost every single person that's on that book, and Nick Spencer hasn't really sucked during this one.
Yeah.
And I like
Ryan
Spider-Man.
Otley?
My number, I'd buy it, but I'm just trying to think of the upside on what Eternals can sell. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're talking about the
Jeff
covers.
John's Shazam.
It's going to be hard for you to get all of these,
man, with Dale Eaglesham.
Yeah, but that's Shazam. Well, you're right, man. Eternals. All right. Personally, I was fighting for Eternals, but the reality is just like you said. Anybody that thought Inhumans was going to be hot shit, they were wrong. That's just all there is to it. And we had to put up with the Inhumans for 3 to 5 years. The last time the Eternals were anything, it was because Neil Gaiman and John Romita Jr. were doing a miniseries. And if Eternals is going to be worth anything to the retailer, it will probably be in miniseries form. Because Ribic is only going to be on the book for 6-12 issues at best.
Well, not
maybe
12
a return.
Continuous issues. Maybe 4 here, miss 3 or 4 again.
Yeah. So it'll be stretched out a little bit. Mm-hmm. But as an ongoing Eternals, I mean, they were cool when they were in, dealing with Thor back in the 70s and 80s. I guess you could say they were cool.
If you put Donny Cates on Eternals, it would probably be pretty good.
Pardon me?
If you put Donny Cates on Eternals, yes, it would do well.
Hey man, you can always introduce something that's really dark and nebulous. It's going to be the everything. But it helps that it was in Thor. It helps that it was in Venom. Not necessarily is Venom always like the greatest seller, burning up the charts or anything like that, but it's got the Spider-Man connection. Yeah, exactly.
It's above 50.
It's better than Eternals, probably, is going to hold. But you're going to see a major, major number on the first issue because they're going to take all of these copies that everybody's going to try and buy at least one of everything for their store. No matter how dinky your store is, or no matter how big your store is, it's going to be, that way. And that's going to increase the sales, and it's going to look like it's one of the greatest comics of the year. It's
going to be like 85, 90,000, something crazy. But think about this, Think about how much healthier the comic book industry would be if Marvel stopped dinking and dunking on their page rates and said, you know what, J. Scott Campbell, you bring a lot to the table. We want to make it worth your time to do interior pages and stop just doing fucking covers and do one of our premier characters. Here's a substantial raise in your page rate. We want you on this book, and we want you committed to it. That would bring people back. There's no incentive for these great artists like Frank Cho, Alex Ross, J. Scott Campbell, and other ones that are doing a lot of variant covers that have done great interior work in the past to come back to these books and really get enthusiasm back. That's why we have so much dog shit art nowadays, because a lot of the great artists don't want to waste their time doing interiors anymore. They just want to do these stupid variant covers. It's so narrow-sighted and short-sighted just by the industry on whole that they want to put all their eggs in these stupid variant baskets. That's one issue you get a pop for, rather than getting a pop on a 12 or a 24 issue run with one of these great artists.
Well, what we need then is Marvel needs to know that as a direct result of only the team that's on the book, and I'm going to use Eternals since that's what we're talking about, as a result of Eternals having a quality team, like you were suggesting, I think Assad Ribic is equal in a different style to J. Scott Campbell. He deserves a lot of money for working on the book, and Kieran Gillen probably deserves a good page rate for a writer also. If we, as a direct result, say we don't want this crap anymore that isn't like Eternals, and we can keep that number up high after the 6/7th issue, they should pay attention to this, but they're not going to. And not only that, who knows if J. Scott Campbell really wants to do interiors anyway. Because it's hard, it's not as lucrative, and it takes a lot of time. Yeah. Well, it takes a lot more time, and the thing is that people like making posters on covers, not on interior pages. It's Neil Adams always did covers. He hardly ever did interiors, and it's been that way for a long time.
I'll tell you right now, Neil Adams is kicking ass and taking names in Fantastic Four Antithesis.
There you go. That book has to sell well so that we know that we want someone of his caliber. But the thing is Neil Adams you have to excite a guy like Alex Ross. You have to excite a guy like Neil Adams. Hell, usually you have to say, Neil Adams, you are allowed to be the writer in order to make this happen. It's really strange to see him working with another person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you have to excite J. Scott Campbell, and really the only time he ever did was when he was doing Danger Girls, his own creation. Alex Ross has his own take on something, and then he does something, but that's not very often. And one of the reasons is because he's being, funded by doing all these, covers, whether they be variants or, the regular cover artist for a book. It's easier to pay these people, and so I agree with you. I would like to see better art in the comic books. I'd like to see better writing. I'd like to see the teams being taken care of. It just sometimes isn't really a reality for various reasons that I don't even know half of them.
Most of the management is short-sighted, and they're like, I want that quick money, rather than going out and doing the hard work. And it would be hard work to get long-term sustained growth. Now, Marvel does have some pretty good artists. I think Marco Cicchetto's work on Daredevil was great, but it's 4 issues at a time. Then he takes a break. I think what Ryan Otley's work on Amazing Spider-Man hasn't been quite what we expected, but it's still been very good. Patrick Gleason, when he's been in there, has been very good. But a lot of the titles are pretty lackluster.
Yeah. They'll probably put Chichetto. He'll probably have to go on to a higher selling comic book eventually because of the way, you don't get paid less, as you go along. So if they're going to keep you, they have to put you on a better selling book. And after that, he just becomes a cover artist. It's like Dustin Weaver. He was doing all this solid work, and then he got to do an event like Secret Wars, and now you only ever see him doing covers.
Well, there's really good artists out there that are interior artists. Aaron Lepresti, I don't think, is really working on anything right now. Brett Booth, one of the best artists in the entire industry. It looks like he's just moved on to create her own stuff because the Marvel and DC aren't incentivizing these guys and saying, we appreciate you. You are a value add to our brand, and we want to compensate you for it. They want to nickel and dime everybody. And I've talked to people, and I've heard things behind the scenes, and the way that Tom Brevoort and others negotiate page rates and stuff. And it's some of the grossest, most disgusting details I've ever heard. I wish I could actually share it with people because of how gross it was, but it would actually kind of give away where I got the information from. But I'm telling you, the short-sightedness as far as the management at Marvel is shocking.
I saw a tweet yesterday. So the thing about, the internet obviously is that we're finding out a little bit more about like what expected page rates are for artists as they're growing into the industry and what is actually being put out there. And it's not beautiful for anybody. And Marvel is supposedly pretty bad. They always have been. They never want to reprint anything for fear of having to pay out royalties. And that's why, books go out of print, those epic editions and things like that. And I'm sure it's a hassle when you have to pay a whole bunch of people like 3 cents at a time. But, it just, Marvel's always been very jerkish when it comes to treating their art well. Or their
well, we know it's not just their artists; it's their editors too. You hear, remember the stories? They're paying their editors $30,000 a year to live in New York City.
It sounds like their whole
like McDonald's wages, man.
Right? They're like still. It's like when
and then fans are like, why do we get such shitty editing? Because they have shitty wages.
Yeah,
you get what you pay for in a lot of cases.
I've heard like traffic manager is basically all they are, just making sure one thing goes to one place where it's supposed to, and not schedule? Really. Yeah, and what about interns? Didn't they have any of those?
Why would you want to intern in the comic book industry? There's no money to be made if you make it in.
I thought interns never get paid money.
That's the point, though. But you intern so you get a relationship and in. To the company.
Well, that's true. I was just thinking for like you
want to intern for Disney.
High school credit.
You don't want to intern for Marvel. Who wants to be poor when they get out of college?
Some kid would love to go in and actually probably read the stuff before it happens, and probably would catch the errors better than Marvel editors do. You can get free money.
Remember what Andy Curry said at DC Comics? I don't have a degree or any experience like writing. And he was a main editor over at DC Comics. You don't need a college to go for, with the amount of money that they're giving. You can't expect people to have an education.
So I can't expect typos to get caught either. That is what you're telling me.
No. That's why they don't.
I was reading a Spider-Man, one of the most recent issues, like 47 or whatever, and it was Uber Hero, right? So they left the S off, and it was even in bold print. And I'm like, these sons of bitches, how could they? All right, so there was this comic book called Superhero Happy Hour. And it was like an independent book where all the superheroes get together at a bar and they just kind of, riff on things. And it was cute and really unobtrusive. And Marvel and DC, since they have the code joint ownership of the word superhero, had to sue that little comic book. Because even if they were okay with it, they would have no ground to stand on if somebody used it otherwise. So my premise here is that superhero is so important that they would sue this really small, insignificant comic book in the grand scheme of things. They would sue them, and they can't even catch that they forgot to put an S on the word superhero in their own comic book.
Do you read X-Men by Jonathan Hickman?
I have, yes.
There's at least 2 to 3 typos every single comic, and you would think that one would have the best editor and the most oversight because it's one of their 4 or 5 premier ongoing titles. Nope. Comic.
I remember there was
he does it to him on purpose.
It might, because I remember on Twitter, Jonathan Hickman and whoever the editor or somebody was, where they were like talking about typos during like House of X. It was Jordan White, yeah, and this is going to be the most fucked up grammar comic, whatever it is, out there, and like they're like joking about it, and I don't know, maybe it is on purpose. I don't know who's doing what to whom when they're doing that. What purpose does this serve? So variant covers.
How did we get so off track? Variant covers. You got over 40 of them already for Eternals. Seems like an enormous waste of time. I don't see this comic book, even with a great creative team. I hope I'm wrong, because I do think Kieran Gillen and Esad Ribic can do great things with this. But 40 variant covers. This is not Batman. Let's be. I guess it's because it's an MCU movie. Whatever.
Yeah.
Do you want to see Eternals? I don't.
No. I mean, they're just gods on Earth, right? I mean, that's Icarus and I can't even remember all the different names. And even the Neil Gaiman one that came out with John Romita Jr. felt like a story that like only anybody could have come up with that color by number story. And it was an attempt to make, the characters relatable to anybody today. So, gave them human form and then released the god in them. And that was basically the story. Meanwhile, the bad ones are doing bad things. And you don't know who these characters are. And it's going to be a real hard sell for anybody in the movie going forward. And as far as the comic, if it could sell over 50 consistently, I think that'd be a win.
That would be an enormous win. I don't see it happening, but I do hope I'm wrong. The comic industry needs more good-selling comics. Marvel does, obviously, with they're slimming down the line. They're putting a lot of eggs into the Eternals basket. They're certainly going to get a bump from all these variant covers on issue 1. We'll see if it has any staying power. We did get sidetracked. We talked a little bit about we need better interior artists. And we need to, Marvel really needs to stop nickeling, diming these artists and compensate them with what they deserve. Because, you give bad rates, you get bad art. You get bad rates for editing, you get bad editing. You get what you pay for in a lot of cases. And I think people are starting to see that. Mm-hmm. We have been for a while.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. I do appreciate it. And if you enjoy what Yul brought to the table, he was fired up here today, people. That was a shoot. If you enjoy that, here on the channel right now, there should be a button. It probably looks like Hellboy. You can select that, go subscribe to his channel. I definitely highly recommend that.